Hello, it's time for Combat Patrol Carnage. Hello everyone and welcome back to Combat Patrol Carnage, the series where I, Merlin, show you the ins and outs of the Combat Patrol part work by Hachette. So we're kicking off Delivery 14 and we're starting off with our paint issue, issue 51. So it's not a very full issue. We have a rubber bumper paint guide in which we update all our Space Marines, Eldari and Tyrannid models. We learn about the Leagues of Votann as well as the Chronicles. Then we start our narrative campaign, Fires of Conflict, which I'm really liking the look of, but I'm thinking I'm going to be saving a lot of it for the end of the collection once we have all of the different combat patrols. Until then, I'm probably going to be playing regular combat patrol games, trying out each of the different factions and getting used to their play styles. Then when the campaign comes around, we can really dive into the more narrative aspect of things and have a bit of more fun. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the issue. So, pretty cool. We will be finishing this issue though with a full Combat Patrol game as voted for by you. More on that later. So as I said, it's a paint issue and these are paints we get. Pallid Witch Flesh here and Pink Horror. So we'll be highlighting a lot of fleshy areas as well as pink cloth and wax, as well as the chitinous armour of our Tyrannids. We also get our next set of data cards. I've pre-punched them because they were falling to pieces when I received them. So we've got all the Orc faction abilities plus our bonus unit, all the Votann faction abilities and all the data cards for them, plus 2 more terrain cards, a set of barricades made out of strewn Mechanicum sector stuff, which it's not going to be the easiest to 3D those because a lot of those components I don't own. And this one in particular doesn't actually seem to be any particular kit components, so no idea what I'm going to do there. So as I said, the end of this video is going to have a full Combat Patrol game, seeing as we now have the full Combat Patrol for the Orcs, plus we have their data cards as well for reference. So who are they facing? Well, as voted for by you, they will be facing the Spiky Boys, the Chaos Space Marines. So yeah, we'll have the Chaos Space Marines in their basic patrol against the Orcs in their basic patrol. And I'm going to be rolling off to decide a mission in off camera just a bit to decide what they're going to be playing. So before we hit the table and update our models, don't forget to of course do all the usual. Like this video, subscribe to the channel and drop me a comment down below. Love hearing back from you guys, it goes a massive way helping out this channel and I always love hearing what you're doing in your hobby. Finally then, Combat Patrol Carnage is proudly sponsored by warbay.shop, your one-stop supply for all your hobby needs. They stock everything you need from getting started to expanding your force and grabbing all your painting and hobby supplies as well. They also supply the entire Games Workshop range through disc games and have a massive 20% off. So if you're looking for anything in particular, check them out. They got a great selection of models. I'm picking up a lot of the pre-orders. I'm waiting for Tomb World to arrive. Should be here sometime this week. And yeah, looking forward to getting into that. It's an awesome box featuring Death Watch and my favourite tinny boys, the Necrons. So check out warbay.shop. There's a link as usual in the video description where you can find all of their products. So check them out and you might find your next hobby project at a bit of a discount. Right then, let's head to the table and update our models. I've got the Space Marine Captain, the Winged Tyrannid Prime and the Farseer ready for their final highlights. So here we are with issue 51 for the first time, so we got our bits to look through. So first off we've got our brand new paints, so Pallid Witch Flesh, which is a nice light ivory colour, which will be utilised for highlighting skin, parchment and cloth, as well as various bony details on the Orcs and Chaos Space Marines. So it's a nice all-rounder. I do use this a lot. And as I mentioned in my unboxing, this one does appear to be a little on the lumpy side, so perhaps it's not the best. We'll find out when we crack it open. And the next colour we got is Pink Horror, a nice mid-rosy sort of pink. beautiful colour. Again, one I use quite a lot. Use it for highlighting. Purity seal wax on certain models. In the collection, we'll be using it to highlight the Eldari robes and loincloths, as well as the chitin on our Tyranids. And the other freebie we get in this issue is our new set of data cards. So we got the Leagues of Votann stuff. So we got Eye of the Ancestors, which is their faction ability, which gives out judgment tokens. We got their stratagems there as well. We got their enhancements, so toil urns or settle a grudge for secondary objectives even, and then their enhancements, waste feeds the void, and the pragmart comms uplink. We have their data cards, so we got our Carl, who we get in the next issue. We got the Hearthkin Warriors, we got the Hernkin Pioneers, the Chthonian Berserks, which look pretty awesome there with their plasma blades. And finally the Iron Here Half-Guard. So again, plasma blades. These guys will replace the Chthonian Berserks. So if you want a more armoured, focused looking Votann army, so see these guys are pretty much bare naked, only having a 6+ save, 2 wounds, leadership 7 and a toughness of 5. These guys are kind of better off, same wounds and leadership and objective control, but better save and better toughness. Just the only problem is they don't have the Feel No Pain that these guys have, so Feel No Pain 5+. And they got the Cyber Stims effect here as well. These guys don't really have any abilities. So he also has some awesome unique war gear as well here. So it's up to you really which ones you prefer. I think these guys are more Terminator-esque, more durable, hit harder, etc. Pretty cool. Next up then we have the faction abilities, of course, for our Orks, which we'll be using. We also have their stratagems. This time we've got the enhancements the right way around. So we can either reduce the amount of damage we take, or we have the awesome teleporter. And then of course our secondaries here, so stomp 'em or looting, whichever you prefer. Some's a fun scenario, some are a bit more advanced. We've got our Boomdacker Snazwagon data card, so our secondary bonus unit for the Orks. This replaces the Deathcopters. I was kind of hoping it replaced the Death Dread, so you'd have a more fast focused army. I guess it's swapping fast to fast, and yeah, this guy looks pretty cool. So he's got Billowing Fumes even, which is a nice aura. So enemy unit, except monsters or vehicle within 6 of this model, makes a hit roll, subtract 1 from the hit roll. So yeah, makes it harder to hit in combat. Got some really cool things. So you got a basic big shooter, you got a Grot Blaster, and then you got the Mech Special, which is a rapid fire 4 assault weapon with sustained hits, 1, 12 attacks, hits on 5 as usual, strength 5, -1, 1 damage, so that's your big gun on top. And you've got spiked wheels for their melee weapons. Like I said, next we got our new terrain cards. So 2 really, I have no idea where these components come from, terrain pieces. You got like this plastic webbing here, which is used to make tracks. And part of it even looks like it's supposed to be twisted wire fencing as well. We got a couple of barrels. We got this container thing, which I think is from a Necromunda frame. The market, I'm not too sure. This is again from a Necromunda frame, but it's got like all sorts of stuff attached to it. And we've just got some bits of scrap wire added in as well, and some stones. And this one is a lot of buried pipes, some earthwork and stuff built up. Yeah, I can attempt to make some of these. I mean, building up the earthwork and stuff's easy. I've got lots of cork and stuff to use for that. Making the smaller pipes and whatnot's going to be a little tricky. Yeah, I'll try my best, but it might be a sort of a no-go situation for these. So yeah, there we have our data cards. So I'll put those on one side. Alright, without further ado, let's adjust the camera and we'll dive into our paint guide. Into issue 51 we go for the first time. So full contents for the issue first. So we have updating our models guide 39. 2 read articles, Leagues of Votann part 1 and the Chronicles of the Kin, so Leagues of Votann part 2. Then finally for play we have our introductory articles, which is quite a few, for the Fires of Conflict campaign. So pages 1 through to, I think it's all section 1, but it's like 4 or 5 pages. So yeah, pretty cool. Right, let's have a look. So, how to paint. We're using Pallid Witch Flesh, Pink Horror, and we do require Mechanica Standard Grey for some extra bonus details. Follow this guide to update existing models in your collection with your new paints, Pallid Witch Flesh and Pink Horror. This guide also contains steps to use Mechanica Standard Grey, which you received in a prior issue. Make sure you read through the guide in full before you begin, and take breaks as long as you go. Or as you go along, even. So, updating 3 factions of this issue, and we update another 2 in the first part of our Hearthkin Warriors. So, we do Pallid Witch Flesh first, so painting the Purity Seals, the skull faceplate, the inside of the captain's cape, as well as any exposed skin. And you'll also want to refer back to the eye tutorial in one of the earlier issues when we started looking at highlighting, as that will help you to finish off all your face details. Then we're moving on to Pink Horror. So this is going to be for the wax and the Purity Seals. So you want to pick out the raised edges and put a dot in the very center. Pick out the details on the chaplain's book there as well. Then we're on to Mechanica Standard Grey, which we're using to highlight all the ribbing on the Space Marine's armor, the tires on the chaplain's bike, and any guys with black hair. Once you've done that, your Space Marine should look something like this. So we've got our captain who is at the point now where we can actually glue him all down to his base. And once we've done the Dead Tyrannid, of course. So yeah, I'm going to definitely glue this guy together now, because we're at the point where the only thing to highlight is going to be that red cape. And that's an easy access area. And so yeah, we've got all of our models updated, including all the face details, eyes, skin, etc. Onto the Eldari then, so we're going to use Pallid Witch Flesh again, first off to edge highlight the Farseer's cape, as well as the little cord, don't forget to get that. Then we want to highlight any Eldari skin with the Pallid Witch Flesh on the edges here, the brow and such. Pink Horror is used mainly on the Farseer for his cloak, the Wraith Lord and Wraith Guard for their loincloths, and any pink gemstones as well you want to pick out. Finally then, Mechanica Standard Grey is used to highlight all the black levers, including the boots on the Farseer, any hair, leather straps, and the ribbing on the Wraith Lord, as well as the seats on the jet bikes there. There we have our finished Eldari force up to this point, looking pretty good. Finally then, onto our Tyrannids. So I won't be doing all of my models. I'm literally going to focus on the character and the big guy, which I've already painted the big guy. If you've checked the social medias, actually he's within arm's reach. I can bring him in. So there's our Psychophage all completed with the updated paint guide. So we can see the end result there. But yeah, highlighting Pallid Witch Flesh, so picking out all the sharper and raised areas on flesh. Refer to your previous highlight guide if you need a reminder of certain areas on how to paint flesh. You've got all these sharp spines on the leapers to pick out. Again, all the legs and joints on the Psychophage here, which is bigger and easier to pick out. Then for the chitinous armor, first we want to start by edge highlighting all your models. And then on the larger, flatter sections of carapace, you want to draw small lines to sort of give it a feathery texture. We're also going to use Pink Horror to highlight tongues, as well as the tentacled maw of the Psychophage there. And finally, Mechanica Standard Grey, so all our claws and hooves, as well as these exhaust nodules on the Psychophage's back. And then we have our updated models so far. So we're not highlighting the Barb Gaunt's launchers. So wonder what we're going to be doing that in a future issue. Same for the gun carapace on the termagants there. But there we have all of our updated models, and they look pretty cool. Like I said, I'm going to focus these highlight guides mainly on the characters and the big centerpiece models. So there we go. Right, with that said, let's bring everything in and we can put these into action. So we've got all our models here ready to go. Let's take the wing off the prime. So now we can start work. We're going to work on all the areas that share the same colour. So we'll kick things off with our lightest colour, Pallid Wych Flesh. You'll see I've also got 2 extra colours, the Mechanicus Standard Grey, which we need, as well as Cassian Flesh for the face tutorial for our captain. Pallid Wych Flesh isn't too bad. It's a little lumpy, but there's enough there to actually make a solid mix. So we'll start things off with our base here for our captain. So I want to trace this highlight along these raised ridges, including the central line here, picking out these sharper raised points. It's going to be very subtle, as the Wraithbone and Pallid Wych Flesh are very similar in hue. Yeah, it'll look pretty good once it's complete. You can see it better on the areas where we're highlighting with the teeth that are shaded with Agrax Earthshade. Then we'll move on to our winged prime. Again, we're looking at picking out all the raised areas. So the rib cage here, the smooth flatter areas here of the leg, we'll pick out those, and any sharp edges as well. And along the length of the tail, get the top and the tip here as well. And we're looking at getting his claw arms, so these white fleshy pieces here. With our winged prime done, we can move on to our captain. So we've got the inside of his cape here to do. And for this, we're just going to trace the sharp points. All the edges. And onto our scroll work on the shoulder pads. So any parchment here. Pick out just the raised edges, leaving that Raka flesh visible. Also got the purity seal here. Final detail to do is the face, so we want to pick out raised areas, so the eyebrows, the bridge of the nose, jawline, cheekbones, etc. I always find a Pallid Wych Flesh, much like with Stormhost Silver, less is more. Plus, if you do get a tad too much on a thin shade of Raka flesh shade, we'll blend it back down nicely. And finally, Pallid flesh onto our farseer. So we got the cord holding pouch on to highlight, and just like with the captain, we got the inside here of the cloak, picking out all those sharp edges. So moving on to our next new colour, it's time for pink horror. So yeah, nice rosy pink. This is going to be used for the farseer's outer cloak, as well as the wax on the purity seals and the chitin on our Tyrannid Prime. So we'll start with the easier details. So we're looking at our captain here. So we got purity seal here. So using the very tip of our brush, you want to highlight the raised edges. Make sure we leave the gaps where there are gaps. And then we'll put a tiny dot in the very center. So it looks like that with darker pinks in the recesses. Then onto our farseer, it's a simple matter of making sure we're not too overloaded. I want to edge highlight the outer cape. So try for one fluid motion if we can. Remember to always draw your brush towards you. You'll get a much smoother line that way. Now I need to pick out all these creases, so just trace down using the tip of your brush. And there we go, all the pink highlighted on our farseer. Onto our final task, it's the Tyrannids. So this is going to be the more in-depth, as we got lots of edges to pick out. And then we got all of those little feathering lines to pick out as well. So start somewhere easy. So say the shoulder here. We got two distinct sections. Follow the guide, do all your edges first. And once you're done with the edges, you'll know where to put your feather lines. So now we've got all the edges done on our winged prime. I've also done the edges on the Carnifex here. We can move on to the next stage, which is to add those flecks. So you mainly want to be getting all these sort of edges down along here. So making sure your paint is thinned a little more than normal. You can then just add these little flecks. Vary the sizes and the distance between each one. Just to show sort of plates growing at different times and speeds. Moving on to our other colours now. So we got Mechanica Standard Grey to highlight certain areas. So we got the claws on our prime, the ribbing on the power armour of the captain, and we've got the black leathers as well on the farseer. So as this is a base paint, you might want to add a little bit more water than normal, just to help in flow. You can get nice smooth thin lines. So onto our Tyrannid Prime then. So we're going to do his talons here. So we've got sharp edges, and we've also got some segmented plates as well to pick out. Moving on to our Captain in Terminator armor, we're now going to pick out all the ribbing. So I'm going to look too much on my brush, hang on a sec. So I'm going to pick out all the sharper edges on the ribbings. Between each of the armor joints, there aren't that many. Just get the easier to access ones. Like so. There we go. As you can see, I've cleaned off the area, ready to glue this guy together. Final areas to highlight with grey then are the levers on the fascia. So we've got the pouch and belt here, as well as the boots. There we go, that's it for the mechanical standard grey. All we've got left to do is the face detail for the captain, which I think I'm going to leave to do off camera. So yeah, all we're going to do now is glue any pieces together that need to be glued, and then my models are finished. So there we go, that's all of our paints applied. So let's take a look, shall we? So we got our captain here, which you can just about make out I've done the eyes. It's kind of hard because it won't focus. Yeah, just about. Yeah, done all of the Rakarth flesh areas with Pallid Wych flesh, done all the flesh detail. Wing Prime here, I've now super glued in his left wing, glued in his right wing, and yeah, he looks really good. Done all the pink and the flesh on him. And finally our Farce here, she's looking awesome. Pink on her cloak is all nicely layered out. And I've picked out the inside there and other details as well. So yeah, all looking good. Can't wait to get these guys on the table. Really looking forward to trying out the Tyrannies now that I've got some of the big centerpiece models nicely painted. But that is it for this video, and I hope you've enjoyed it. So yeah, we've applied Pink Horror and Pallid Wych Flesh to our new models. We've got our new data cards, so I'm going to file these away in their respective little Ziploc bags. And we're ready for our lore articles, which will be next, so I hope you'll join me for that. All that's left for me to do is to say thank you all very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time on more Combat Patrol Carnage. Goodbye.